Hey group leaders, this is Pastor Kyle coming to you from pretty much my backyard here at this point, and it's great to get to see you all here once again to join us for this month's group leader newsletter. Been really busy in spiritual formation, which is actually a really great thing. Normally summer is a bit of a downtime for us, but during this time we've had a ton of new group leaders. So if you just want to welcome those who are new, either in the CWC Facebook group, or if you would like to send them letters or something, let me know. It'd be a great encouragement to them, especially since most of them are starting out here for the first time. And we want to thank them for being here today. I also wanted to let you know that I have an upgraded microphone, but I'm still kind of learning how to utilize it here at this point. So if you happen to have a lot more audio expertise than I do, I'd love to hear maybe some comments and such. But this one should have much better audio quality than the other ones that I've had there in the past. So one step at a time, just learning how to do this and ultimately how I can better reach you as group leaders in this format throughout the month and throughout the year. Nonetheless, the thing that I wanted to, a couple announcements for you. One is we do have our group leader trainings that are going to be coming up here in July on July 16th, and then in August on August 20th. Both are going to be about an hour and a half. It is going to be mandatory for all group leaders, regardless if you are an existing one or if you're a new one. We haven't had a group leader training like this since I've been here, basically. So I want to get one that's going every year to talk about the vision of discipleship here at CWC, to meet other group leaders, new and existing, that are there, to introduce our new group coaching program that's going to be coming around, as well as some other important things like how to utilize Church Center for your group, and what resources we have available, and much more. Childcare will be provided during this event, so if you're a young family or if you're a family that just needs a place for your kids, then we'll be able to have your children there. The training is going to be happening in the Well Coffee House at 1 o'clock on those Sunday afternoons, July 16th and August 20th. So make sure to mark your calendar. You only have to go to one of them. They're both the exact same training. It's just the different days to make sure that as many group leaders can get to them as possible. If we have a lot of group leaders that aren't able to make it to both, then we can create another training as well to have them during that time. So that's what's coming up. But my leader tip for you this month is summer is a time of when you can get out. There isn't as much, well, you're busy in just different ways, but you're not as busy for your group time. So one of the practices that we have here as pastors and directors at Christ Wesleyan is once every 2 months we have a spiritual retreat day. That spiritual retreat day is super important for those who are leaders and are ultimately helping to guide those in the midst of our ministries. And it's something that we really think is important to realign yourself with why you're doing what you're doing. It's important to, in the midst of pouring out to so many people throughout your groups, it's important to look back and see how you're developing your relationship with Christ on your own as well. So that's something that's really important. But how do you do that? I would really recommend, if there's a day or if there's like a specific time, I would say aim for at least twice a year, if not quarterly, for your first few spiritual retreats. And if you want to know how to actually do a spiritual retreat, I'd love to teach you how to do that. That's something that I'm really passionate about, just haven't had a lot of time to do so at this point. But I'd love to help guide you through, and ultimately I'd love to host a spiritual retreat for the group leaders and others in leadership here at CWC at some point. But to just take a full day and dedicate it to the Lord in that way. Now, that might last from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to bed. The way that I often practice it is it starts at 5 o'clock on a day beforehand, like a Friday night, and then goes to 5 o'clock on Saturday night. That I find is really good for me, because I can take that Friday night to just disconnect, to do things that I really enjoy and that give me life. And then that next morning I'm rejuvenated and ready to really spend some intentional time with the Lord. So that's something that you can do. You can do that either on weekdays or weekends. You can do it with your spouse, or you can do it separately if you want to. I used to do it with my friends, where we would do the first Friday evening together. We would all go to a state park And then we would tent camp there overnight, and then in that morning we would go and have our separate times together with God. You could even practice this with your group if you really wanted to. There are so many state parks and other places that you can go to here in Pennsylvania that it's really not hard to practice a spiritual retreat day. It's just finding the right spot. So for some people that might be like a coffee shop, for some that might be out in the wilderness like me. That's also kind of difficult when it rains outside, so it's a balance of things. But nonetheless, it's so important to have that time to reorient yourself to what Christ is trying to tell you. And if it's maybe something that you're really praying hard about, you can dedicate that in your spiritual retreat day and such. Once again, if you have any other questions, or maybe you can only do like a half day or something, I'd love to help you in the midst of that process, to teach you what it means to go through those days, and I'd love to help you through that process. But that's our monthly leading tip, to start building those into your schedule, even if it's once a year. That's better than nothing. So to start out with something is really important, and then to build in that spiritual discipline can help you maintain longevity in the midst of your own ministry as a leader here at Christ Wesleyan. But once again, thanks for joining us here for our group leader newsletter. Make sure to read through some of the other updates that we have here in the newsletter and some of the other things coming up. And once again, if you have any questions or if you want to connect with me, then you can connect with me at kyle.roberts@cwc.life, at 570-273-0088, either by calling or texting, or you can schedule a meeting with me using the link at the top of the email. But nonetheless, thanks for joining me again here today, and I hope you had a good 4th of July with your families and such. We'll talk to you later.